You are listening to the Bring Joy Forward podcast. Conversations to explore, heal, and grow. You can find us on bringjoyforward.com and join us in our community group on Facebook. We now take you to the episode. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, welcome to Bring Joy Forward podcast. I am Ramona Crabtree-Falkner with Authentic Life Journey, and I am joined today by Shannon Brown. Welcome.
Hey.
So we are excited to come together and share this episode with you because we're both working with the same practice right now, among others, but a very specific practice that we are working with. And we felt inspired to speak to the importance of that dedication to that practice. And in yoga, it's called tapas, which is dedication to spiritual practice, which is showing up and doing the practice with consistency. And I tend to apply that across all of my life. So how am I being dedicated to my practices based on whatever outcomes I'm moving my life towards? And I vacillate in and out of it all the time because, you know, our egos are pretty strong and they can definitely distract us from staying connected to what it is that we want to do. So let's start with that. How do you feel about that, Shannon? How is your experience with those practices?
So I think I'm like a lot of people, like, oh, here's a practice. This is going to just enhance, whether it be an art practice, a mantra, a healthy eating or something, like getting real excited at the very beginning, you know, yes, I can do this. And then I find that life happens and things get interrupted. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's hard to get back to that practice or to continue the excitement, especially when on some of the things that I've done, you know, I do the practice and I don't see the immediate results that I want. Okay. And we are in such, to me, an immediate society these days, because I don't know about you, but like if my computer goes down for 2 seconds, I'm like, wah, 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 you know, and I remember 40 years ago, you know, when I was working and computers were just coming online and I would enter an airway bill, I would get up and go do something else. And then it would be time to enter the next one. So that's how slow it used to be. And I have to remind myself, remember those old days at work, you know, and it wasn't very productive, but we got it done. Mm-hmm. So again, sometimes not getting that immediate result. Okay, I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I should be doing better. And it actually, I had a reminder of photos. You know, my computer every day tells me, oh, these are the photos, or, you know, this is what you put on your computer 4 or 5 years ago. And I always look through the photos. And I was looking at something that I painted 3 years ago. And it was I had painted my sister-in-law who had passed away 6 years ago. And I thought, I mean, when I did it, I was like, wow, look what I did. Okay. And then I've painted over that painting since. This past week, I'm on a Van Gogh painting journey, trying to paint, I think it's 36 of his paintings. And this past week was a child with an orange, and it was a face, and I'm not real good with faces. And I was kind of like, well, I'm getting better. But when I looked at that painting this morning from 3 years ago, and I looked at the one I did last week, I'm like, oh my God. And it took 3 years. Okay. But when you're in the midst of it, you're like, oh, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to paint like Van Gogh, but I'm just trying to get the essence of his things. But I'm like, I really am improving. Every time I go to the canvas, I get better. Every time I do a dedicated mantra, like we're going to be talking about, I get better. Every time I say no to that second helping of mashed potatoes, it makes my body healthier. So again, it's realizing small steps, small dedicated steps that we continue. So that's where I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you know, it's funny because whenever we're preparing for our talk today, I brought up the word tapas, and you were like, "You mean like little bites?" And so because you know words are symbols, so they have different meanings based on culture and what have you. So in the yogic practice, tapas is about having that dedication to whatever the practice is that you are cultivating. And we just recently in our book club finished reading The Universe Has Your Back. And one of the practices that Gabrielle Bernstein brought into awareness was the Kriya practice of using a mantra and a mudra. Sa ta na ma is how it's spoken whenever you're practicing the Kriya with hand movements. And the meaning of Satnam is I am truth, or truth I am. So this has been a lovely journey that Shannon and I both decided to take after reading this in the book. And I have used these practices throughout the 20 years I've been a yoga practitioner, either as a student or as a teacher. And I've never come across this particular way of using Satnam. And so it's been a really interesting journey, especially in relation to my current life co-creation I am intending for my future. And I started, after we discussed it about a week or so ago, sitting down every day and doing this 12-minute practice that I've used a guided message to help me stay committed to it. And my meditation practice went from that 12 minutes to today I was there for 25 minutes. And I was able to just be still with myself. And so, and on top of that, it was a rough day. Like I didn't want to do it. I wanted to just lay around and enjoy the morning before I had to, you know, get going with my day. And I made a dedication to daily practices starting at 7 a.m. because I know if I don't do them first thing in the morning, then my ego will give me every reason in the world why there's no time for it. And what I will tell you, and in all honesty, I've only been doing this for about a week, so it's not like I have, you know, this magical experience. But what I will tell you is I have had a magical experience. Let me rephrase that. It's not that I've been doing this for this particular practice for a long time, but it is the beginning of it. And I made a decision that I want to commit to doing this particular meditation for 30 days because I want to see what happens at the end of that 30 days. And the realizations that I came to every time that I have done this particular practice have inspired me, have opened up things that I couldn't see because my mind was so rigid in this is the way, or this is what I have to do, or this is the step that I need to take. And I was caught in the noise. And so taking that time every morning to move my body for at least 30 minutes, which has actually been more like an hour, and to do this meditation before I do anything else. So before I have my breakfast, before I, you know, take a shower, before I do my first call for the day, it is these three things. You know, get up, go move the body, maybe do some strength training, do the meditation, listen to whatever inspirational messages that you need to listen to, then you start your day. And what that's been doing for me, and just like you said, in the beginning, it's real easy. We're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's do the thing. This is going to be amazing. I'm going to have such a huge shift in my life because I'm doing this practice. And it feels very inspired. And it is because it's from our soul that we're being told, hey, this is where we want you to go because this is the key. to opening up the lock that you feel stuck behind that door, right? So when it gets hard, and this is really what we're here to open up awareness around today, is when it gets hard, that's the moment you have to step up and do it anyway. And I can speak for myself. We did have a little conversation, but it was hard this morning. I had to lay there for a moment. And because I was doing these meditations, because I've been doing these practices, and the other practices I had already been doing beyond since I started this specific meditation. Ultimately, I laid there for 15 minutes and I was just like, okay, is this aligned to your truth to not do this today? And it wasn't. The truth was, I said, this is the intention that I have. This is why I have the intention. And so that I had to settle back into my why. Okay, so why am I getting up and doing this every day? Why am I giving myself the space to nourish myself? And the answer is because I want to be the clear divine conduit that I am designed to be. Beautiful. And that doesn't necessarily just mean for my job. That means for my life. For any person that I'm engaging with, whether it's family, friends, business, or just a stranger walking down the street. I want to be the clear channel for the divine to work through me. And I cannot do that if I am abandoning my tapas, my spiritual practices. And those spiritual practices don't have to look the same one person to the next. It's about aligning to the things that your soul is saying, this is what I need. This is what I need in order for you to be clear, for me to work through you. And for me, it's cardio. That's a spiritual practice for me. It's getting up and moving my body and getting that energy moving through my body. It's Pilates. It's yoga. Sometimes it's a little bit of weightlifting. It's meditation. It's choosing to put the right vibrating food into my body. Mm-hmm. It's choosing what I'm surrounding myself with. Am I listening to music that is inspiring me, or am I listening to noise? Am I having conversations that are inspiring and supportive, or am I falling into the rut of chaos? Yeah. How about you, Shannon?
I think you said everything. But I will say that since starting this meditation, which has been about a week, I guess, a week and a half or so, I've noticed a huge difference in my memory. You know, if I did notice for a while that I was very discombobulated, and you know, I'm sure we all do this as we get older, or maybe not as we even aren't getting older. We go into a room and we forget why we're doing it, you know. And I just have noticed that or maybe I'm just more open because I've been doing this meditation of listening to those little whispers. Like, you know, I discussed earlier last week, I was boiling eggs, walked off and, you know, for hard-boiled eggs, walked off, totally forgot about it, was getting ready to leave the house, and the thought came in, you have eggs boiling. Okay. And so, I mean, I was going to be gone for like an hour. It could have been bad. But I really believe that from this meditation that it's really helped me. And even this morning, I too had a hard time starting this morning. I laid in bed for 15 minutes and finally just couldn't go back to sleep. And I was like, okay, I'm getting up. Still was dragging during morning meditation or morning journaling. And I said, okay, I've got 30 minutes before the podcast. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this meditation. And there were a whole bunch of things, you know, as you sit down, you're focusing on your third eye as you're doing the mudra and chanting. And of course, there's just things that come to your mind. Oh, I've got to do this for the donkey and the goat. I've got to do this. And how am I going to do this without this and this? And honestly, once I settled down, ideas came to me that were going to make what I needed to do so much easier.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, wow. I mean, why didn't I think of that first? But I was in that tizzy of so yes. And since I've been doing this particular meditation, I feel much more grounded. I was very like off-centered, kind of almost dizzy this morning. And after I did it, I was just okay. I was back in my body, I guess you could say. So yes, I'm very much enjoying this meditation. And also I do want to throw out there, I think there are different meditations for different parts of your times of your life.
Yes.
This particular meditation is coming into our life because we are moving forward, in a certain direction. Both of us want to be a kind of conduit for the divine. That's, we focus coming from the heart. Both you and I try to do that as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're in there were other meditations I used before for specific, things that I was going through. So again, this is a beautiful meditation and I plan on continuing it. It's 12 minutes. It does so much in that 12 minutes. Is it going to be the rest of my life? I don't know. Maybe something else will show up and say, okay, this is what this meditation has done for you. And it's helped you move into maybe something else. That's, as we continue going. But I am certainly, it's easy. It's, and I also was reading up on this particular meditation that there's been some studies done that in older people, I'm saying older than me, 60. Okay. I'm not quite, I think as we get older people is a different age, right? But it does, because we're focusing on a specific point. We're focusing on our third eye. We're also speaking and we're also doing the mudra, that it helps our brain activity so that maybe can stop Alzheimer's or stop it from coming so fast.
Yeah.
And I am dealing right now. My father has Alzheimer's and my mom has dementia. So unfortunately, they're not open to this kind of activity, but I am being called once a month. I do go to their retirement center and I do a crystal bowl. They're calling it crystal bowl therapy, which I love how they worded that. That sings to my soul. And I have introduced some light chakra work to them, and I'm feeling called to share this. And we may even, I'm going to offer, if anybody wants, after the crystal bowl therapy, if they want to sit with me for 12 minutes and do it, I'm going to offer to do it. Nice. I feel that strongly that this could really help, especially because they are older. They're, 70 and above. Let's just put it that way. So I'm excited. I mean, this is, I get excited about tools that I learn. I mean, of course, I love Reiki. I love tapping. We've talked about that. Tools, art, tools that I learned that I know that can help other people live a life of joy, ease, grace, and love. And then I also like to tell others about my friends and teachers and mentors that have helped me, come to that point in my life. Yeah. And for the most part, I would say I'm maybe there 75% of the time. Yeah. But then when we have those moments when we're like, or grr, sometimes it expands our awareness even more, that there's something else that we can bring in, or it brings up a healing that needs to be, because even during that meditation this morning, a memory from when I was in 6th grade came up that needed to be healed. Wow. And I hadn't thought about that in a while. And I was like, okay, you want to come up and be healed? Let's Sata Nama it.
Yeah.
So it's a very powerful meditation.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. So, the long game here is that when we give ourselves to the practices that we are dedicating for our soul's awakening, for our soul's support, we are able to be more connected to our higher purposes in our life. And so having those dedications and knowing why we have them is such an important part of the journey. And so if nothing else, I hope we gave you some insight and maybe some inspiration on how to cultivate your own practices that you can find dedication with. So with that, we thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed what we had to share here today, hit that like button and follow us on all of our outlets. We have a Bring Joy Forward Facebook group as well as our website. So until next time, we hope that you have an amazing day and find your dedications and surface that why and let it continue to hold you in alignment. So have a great day.
Ciao.
You have been listening to the Bring Joy Forward podcast. Conversations to explore, heal, and grow. You can find us at bringjoyforward.com, and we'd love to have you join us in our community Facebook group. Thank you for listening.